like who taught you how to break down a file? And I'm just going to go on record. I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to say, look, this is critical stuff. Like if you're an originator in today's world and you don't know how to structure a loan and you don't know how to get that gray deal done, then basically, the gray deals are the keys that unlock the door to future relationships. And I'm sure that you have a lot of
100%.
stories about deals that you got done that maybe somebody else couldn't get done, that captured a new relationship, that paid dividends into the future. But how did you foundationally learn how to break down a file, and what advice would you give those that are listening to this about how they can go about, sharpening their axe, so to speak, in that way?
That's a tough question. Because you're right, I do have a very high loan IQ, and it helps. It's been well, a big driver of my success, right? To be able to find a loan that was turned down, and to be able to look at it and say, wait a minute, this isn't a turn down loan. You're not looking at this right. Part of it was, I mean, I've got an accounting background. I know how to read tax returns. Um, and kind of you know just looking with an auditor's eye, right, looking into the documentation. What am I looking at here? What doesn't look right? What's a question mark? And then really, really talking to your client. I mean, a client will tell you a lot of stuff if you sit back and listen. And so a lot of times, it's in the story of their life that they're telling you that may seem, at a lot of times you're like, okay, this is not helping me, but you pick up kernels and you go, oh, wait a minute, hold on. You said this about that, and you made this change, and you did this thing, and tell me more about this investment or whatever you were doing. And then, you start looking into the granular portions of sort of, let's say self-employed people. It's usually high net worth self-employed people is where you really find sort of some of these nuggets. And then you ask questions. And a lot of times they'll tell you, well, this is what this is, and here's what happened, and I made this investment, and this is gone, and I'm no longer doing this. And then you talk about it. Well, if I spoke to your CPA, will he co-sign? Will he back up what you're saying? And can I get that? And so usually, stuff like that is where you kind of find. But you got to look at it. You can't just look at the top line numbers. It's really when you get into the you got to get into the weeds. You got to be willing to get into the weeds. And really, for me, it was at being tenacious. I got a deal in front of me. I got somebody who wants to do something. How do I figure this out? Right? How do I get in here and massage this loan? And so I know that didn't quite answer your question, because it's like, well, how do you do that? I think a lot of it is just sort of taking your time and researching and asking questions, and really, just exposure. You start to see patterns. It's like math, right? You know your bag of tricks, right? You know your formulas, and after a while, you pick up these bag of tricks. Well, when I start talking to somebody, I already know, by our conversation, what I could use, what I may not be able to use, what could be valuable in the future.